A young girl, wearing red, walked alone in the forest. It was Amber. Sunshine and warmed her soft skin while she walked alone on her thoughts. Everything seemed so peaceful that it was almost too boring for her taste.
Man, it's way too quiet today. If only I didn't finish all my day's responsibilities. I would have something to do.
Though Amber in her mind, she wasn't accustomed to this kind of peace. Mostly there was something to do after she had finished one job, or someone needed help. This day was different. Finally, she had time for herself. But what did it mean to her? She saw how few birds flew over her in the sky, free from anyone to tell them where to go, where to be, or what to do. As the saying goes, as free as a bird.
One can wonder, if it weren't for my grandfather, I wouldn't join the Knights of Favonius. What would my life be like?
Amber realized she never really hasn't thought about much. She saw a lake and a few small boats there. She started to think about what kind of life would be if she were a fisherman. Waking early in the morning and heading to the lake. Rowing to the place she knows there's a lot of fish, where she would spend most of the day, and weekends only there. And when the sun was about to head down, she would row back home. Not a lot more would come from there, since there was already fishers in Mondstadt, but she could make enough to live. Amber thought for a moment in silence.
That feels kind of lonely, but peaceful.
Amber finally said, not realizing she said it out loud. She looked at the city of Mondstadt. She knew every street, corner, and building in that city. How it looked like in the daylight and the night. In her eyes, she could see acting Grandmaster Jean.
That kind of life would be better for her,
Amber thought.
She could finally have peace of mind at the lake, where the sound of gulls would be mostly the only thing to break the total silence. She wouldn't have to work so much on the paperwork. It would just be her and the sea.
Amber shakes her head.
No, Master Jean can't slow down. That life wouldn't last on her for long. She's so hardworking, and she wants to bring order and peace to us, even though it cost her health. I just wish she could relax more.
Amber closed her eyes.
That's why I am here, so she wouldn't have to do so much work. If we didn't do our duty, she would be the first person to do that. But it's not a life I would want. Just working all the time I'm awake. I wonder if she works on her dreams.
Amber opened her eyes and looked at the city. What stood there, probably and as unshakable as ever.
I guess I kind of understand Jean. We swore to protect this world and its citizens no matter what it takes, so pieces like this could stay forever, and we didn't have to live in fear. I hope one day we can live without any danger around us.
Amber looked proudly at that city, while the wind blew her hair. Amber starts to giggle.
I started to sound like Jean there for a moment.
This brought a smile to her face.
No, this is what I want for my life. This is my call. Helping others and keeping this peace. That's my promise. Well, time to go and keep that promise right away.
Amber said and started running in the direction of the sound.
Don't you worry. Outlander Amber is coming to help.
After running a while, another explosion came. Now it came from closer, but it didn't last long enough for her to realize where it came from. She came to the intersection. What part was left and right? But which was the right decision?
Darn it! Come on, Amber. Think. Where did that sound come from? Left!
Amber said and ran as fast as she could. She saw that the top of a cliff was in front of her, when another explosion came behind that cliff.
All right, whoever you are, ready or not, here comes Amber!
She jumped over the cliff, and when she was about to shoot, down there was a small female dressed in red, who had some sort of ball in her hand. She turned right at that moment to Amber, and Amber could see who it was.
Klee!
Amber yelled and lost her balance completely. Klee turned her gaze to Amber, and an even bigger smile came to her face when she saw who was flying on top of her.
Amber!
Amber was in school, so she forgot how to land right. So she crashed into the sand, face down. Klee, on the other hand, jumps happily next to her.
Did you come here to play with me? Please say you did!
Amber raised her head slowly from the sand, not only because she was in pain, but also trying to keep her temperature down. Klee didn't realize how close Amber was about to shoot her. Amber spits a few rocks from her mouth.
Klee,
Amber said when she finally got herself up.
what were you doing here? And all alone?
I was testing my new Jumpy Dumpties!
Amber looked at Klee a short time before sighing.
You know what Master Jin has said. You're not allowed to go alone. What if something happens to you?
Amber asked her.
Please, a big and brave girl already. I was looking for you earlier, but you weren't around anywhere, so I wanted to test my new Jumpies. They were this big!
But you know, being brave doesn't make you invincible. You could get hurt badly.
But you're so brave and you never get hurt.
Amber was surprised to hear it. She smiles and kneels to Klee's level and puts her hand on her shoulder.
You think I'm brave?
Super brave, like Master Jean, but not as scary.
I may be brave, but I can be scared too.
Amber explained, but now Klee was surprised.
No way! What can scare you?
Just today, I was scared that you got hurt when you were here alone. If you got hurt and I weren't there to help you, I couldn't forgive myself.
I'm sorry, Amber. I promise not to go alone anymore.
Don't worry, as long as you promise this was the last time. I forgive you as long as no one got hurt. And I keep this just between us.
Amber smiled at her.
When Klee is big, I want to be just like you.
This took Amber by surprise. She hugged Klee tight and tears came to her eyes.
I'm sure you will be. Okay, Klee, what do you say? We go play together? Something that's not so dangerous?
Okay, let's go!
Klee said and ran ahead. Amber looked at young Klee before running after her. Years later, an old woman in red stood at the same place where those two young girls were once, remembering that day and her friend. But some of those were long gone.